And she said, you know what? A few months ago, my supervisor came to me and asked me to start training somebody, a brand new employee. And I laughed and joked and said, hey, am I training my replacement? Now, my friend asked that question as a joke, but she knew then that she was honestly afraid that that was the case. And indeed, it was. That person kept her position, and my friend lost her position. Hello and happy Monday. And no, you are not seeing things. I actually do have new colored hair. And it actually fits quite in well with my theme for this week. You know, summer's over now in the US. I mean, technically, although here in Philly, we still have nice warm weather and sunny days. It's very comfortable, although I can turn the air conditioning off. So that's nice. And last week we had the autumnal equinox, and that and the calendar told us, hey, guess what? It's now fall. And with the change over to fall, we also have a set of rituals that many of us do to mark the occasion. This weekend, I dismantled my urban garden. I hate doing that, pulling out those plants that are no longer producing because they're not going to at this point in time. And in a few more weeks, we'll have to turn off the outside hoses, bring in our patio furniture cushions. And, while I started also with this weekend with these kinds of rituals, I also started my fall cleaning, which is a counterpoint to spring cleaning. And that's also when I change over my closets from shorts and sandals to jeans and boots. Now, it's not quite time for all the cold weather gear, but it's good to get ready. And, I don't even think about these rituals all the time. I just do them. There's some comfort in them. And it's probably also when I change hair during different season changes, there's comfort in making changes to adapt to where I'm going. Changes are a natural part of life, and I see it also as tied to a natural part of the seasons. But regardless, it requires an adjustment. You have to do things differently when things change around you. Right now, as we go into October, the days are getting shorter. It's really hard to get out of the bed in the morning when it's still somewhat dark, although it's a lot easier to get out of the bed in the morning than it will be in a couple months when it's pitch black dark. It's also easier for me to go to bed at night when it's dark early. So during this time, my habits change. I can't help but be impacted by what's going on around me just with the seasons. And some of those things I relish, and others of them I fight. And all of this makes me think about comfort zones, all of our comfort zones, those places in our lives, our relationships, even our work or our businesses where we're comfortable until things change. Oh boy, change, Michael. Why are we talking about that? Well, some things, we understand, we expect some change. Other times, change surprises us. Many other times, we try to ignore change until we can no longer ignore it. But what's motivating me today and this week is the intention to step back and view ourselves and how we operate and the comfort zones that we may be in right now. Asking ourselves things like, what am I taking for granted? What things am I avoiding? What things am I denying? What things am I fighting? And do I have the courage to take a close look at and anticipate when change will come? Now, many of you who followed me for a while know that before the pandemic, my whole business of Shock Your Potential was built on me. I traveled all over the US and in fact the world, training companies and organizations on leadership and sales strategies. I loved it. I was happy. I was very, very comfortable. But in the back of my head, I knew I shouldn't be putting all of my company's revenue eggs in just one basket. But here's the problem. It had been working out well. Things were going great until they weren't. I missed the warning signs, not the warning signs of a global pandemic, but of all the potential for things to go wrong, for anything and everything that could go wrong. I mean, at that time, I loved what I was doing. It was working. But had I really honestly taken the time to reflect and review, I would have made different choices well before the pandemic stopped me in my tracks. So this week or last week, a friend of mine chatted with me. She was recently laid off from her job. And it's a company she's worked for many, many, many years. When she loved it, when she began, she loved it. I remember talking to her about it. She'd taken even a couple of promotions early on. They loved her. She loved them. But over time, she had more opportunities for promotions, but she began to turn them down. She kept saying, I mean, it's probably a great opportunity, but I like being able to stay home. I'd have to travel more. I like what I'm doing. I don't have to learn something new. She honestly thought she would retire from this company, and she thought she was safe because she did her job well, and she made it through the pandemic. But when her company finally had to make some cuts, she was in the first round. Now, as we started talking and we were diving down and kind of unpeeling this, unwrapping it a little bit, unpacking the issue, she admitted at the back of her mind, she knew she was probably burning some bridges with that company every time she turned down a promotion. Now, let's talk about this. She wasn't laid off because she turned down promotions. It's really what's behind all that, about what kept her from continuing to move forward, continuing to develop and grow in her role and with the company. And she acknowledged that somewhere along the way, she just quit caring. She could do her job with her eyes closed. She knew it. So she did. She just did her job, and only her job. And what happened then is she lost interest in the company as a whole. In fact, in many cases, lost interest even in her colleagues or where the company was going. And this was a hard conversation for her. It was a hard discussion about really peeling back the onion to see, what went wrong. It's interesting because, we know that warning signs are all around us when there's change that we may not like. We don't always look at them, though, because we don't really want to see them. They might tell us that our comfort zone is an illusion, or they might tell us that we need to change. So today, this week, obviously, I'm comfortable with some changes, but not all of them. And I really thought this is a time to challenge each other and ourselves on awareness and where we may be in our comfort zones. So here's my top 5 tips, the things that are motivating me, and see what they can do for you. So number 1, this is the hard one. Reflect on your current comfort zones. Oh, think about all those areas of your life that you're comfortable, that when I say comfortable, that they might not be the best places to be in. And there may be a lot of them. Many of us have a lot of them, but you have to narrow it down as you reflect on it to one that's nagging at you the most, that's calling you, that demands to be heard, even though you've been trying to drown it out or shut it out. And I want you to write it down. Yep, write it down. I don't care if it's by paper or journal or Word document. I don't care, but write it down, and then take the timer in step number 2 on your phone and set it for 3 minutes. And I want you just to write or type everything that comes to mind about this comfort zone for you. About what is it? What part of your life is impacting? Why is it so comfortable to stay in it? What are some of the things that you notice but haven't wanted to admit to? And when the timer goes off after 3 minutes, don't do it for 30 minutes. I'll make you crazy. After 3 minutes, the third step is stop. Put your pen down, stop typing, whatever it is, and read what you have written. Now, if you're like me, make sure that you write it legibly, but read your own words and your thoughts. Let them sink in, because moving to step number 4 is the real hard part of this, where you have to ask yourself, what's the truth that I'm avoiding? What's the reality that I've preferred not to face? And so instead, I've been keeping myself all warm and cozy in this little cocoon of a comfort zone. Because once you recognize what the truth is that you're avoiding, you cannot stay in that comfort zone anymore. Your mind will force you to find a new path. And that moves into step number 5, which is commit to making one step right now to change for the better, and do it. Do it right now. Don't wait till tomorrow. Do it right now, whatever that is. Now, looking back, I look back about 6 months before the pandemic, I began to dabble, and I say dabble, with a lot of new ideas to expand my company. I knew I had those thoughts, like, what happens if I break my leg and can't get on a plane to go speak somewhere? Like, what if I decide I want to take 3 months off and just relax or write or finish the next book or the novel? They're valid questions, and I was thinking of them. They were somewhere in the back of my mind, but I never acted on them until I had no choice. The day that every one of my upcoming speaking gigs for 2020 and 2021 were canceled, then I had to say, what happens now? I asked my friend the same kind of question. And I said, what do you know? When you look back, what do you know when you can reflect? And she said, you know what? A few months ago, my supervisor came to me and asked me to start training somebody, a brand new employee. And I laughed and joked and said, hey, am I training my replacement? Now, my friend asked that question as a joke, but she knew then that she was honestly afraid that that was the case. And indeed, it was. That person kept her position, and my friend lost her position. So, what is the moral of the story? Obviously, don't let your comfort zone cost you a relationship or a job or a dream. A little reflection today, a little personal scrutiny, no matter how painful it might be. When you do it today, it can make a world of difference tomorrow. And with that being said, I want to challenge you to have this reflection, even when it may be uncomfortable, because it's a lot more comfortable than if the world changes around you and you didn't prepare for it. That's what's motivating me this week. And remember, as always, if you like what you're seeing here, please make sure you've subscribed to our channel. Make sure to give the like button, and please leave your comments. We respond to everyone. And also visit us at shockyourpotential.com. We can't wait to see you again.